Chosen one, someone woke up terrified of you this morning because you occupied a space they thought was private. While you slept peacefully, they were drowning in their own sheets, jolting awake as your calm presence dominated their subconscious. The reality is undeniable. You just made someone believe that you can enter others' dreams, and they are shook, because the quiet knowing in your eyes felt too real to be a mere hallucination. You've been transforming, not loudly, not in ways that got announced or celebrated or posted anywhere. You've been transforming in the deep, unglamorous, private ways that actually change a person at the root. You did the shadow work, the uncomfortable kind, where you sit with the parts of yourself you'd rather ignore until they stop running your life from the background. You healed wounds you'd been carrying so long you'd stopped noticing the weight. You chose truth over comfortable stories, over and over, in moments nobody witnessed and nobody applauded. And here's what that kind of work does to a person. It doesn't just change how you feel, it changes what you emit. Your energetic frequency, the invisible signal that everyone around you picks up, whether they're conscious of it or not. That signal refined itself into something that deception simply cannot coexist with comfortably. Think of it this way. You became a tuning fork for truth, and anything out of tune in your presence starts to vibrate wrong, starts to feel the friction, starts to sense that being around you means being seen, really seen, and for people who are hiding something, that is the most terrifying environment possible. They felt this shift in you. Maybe they couldn't name it. Maybe they just noticed you seemed different, quieter but more powerful, softer but somehow impossible to manipulate. Something had settled inside you that used to be available to be moved, and now it simply wasn't. That's the version of you that appeared in their dream last night. That's the version of you they woke up afraid of, and that fear is not an accident. That fear is the natural response of someone carrying a guilty secret to someone who has become fluent in truth. Their own subconscious built the dream. Their own guilt cast you as the all-seeing presence. Their own unresolved conscience handed you the knowledge they've been terrified of you having. You didn't enter their dreams. Their guilt dragged you there. When someone wrongs another person and never resolves it, never confesses, never makes it right, never even fully admits it to themselves, the person they wronged becomes permanently embedded in their subconscious. Not occasionally, not only when the guilt gets loud, permanently. Like a splinter the body cannot push out, no matter how much time passes. You start showing up in their thoughts at random moments, in the middle of a meal, right before sleep, in the pause between conversations when there's nothing to fill the silence, and in dreams. Especially in dreams, you show up with a clarity and a presence that feels supernatural, because the subconscious doesn't soften things the way the waking mind does. The subconscious delivers truth without mercy, so understand what actually happened in that dream. Their own deeper mind constructed the scene, their own guilt wrote the script, their own unresolved conscience cast you as the all-knowing presence and handed you every secret they've been locking away. You weren't the author of that dream, you were the subject, and there is a profound difference between those two things. The only way a person removes someone from their recurring dreams is by making things right with them, clearing the debt, facing the truth, taking real and accountable responsibility. That is the only exit from the haunting. And this person cannot do that. They cannot return what was taken. They cannot undo what was done. They cannot face the full weight of their choices without the entire fiction they've been living collapsing around them. So they cannot clear the dream. They cannot make you leave their sleep. They cannot stop the subconscious from dragging you back, night after night, to stand in front of them with that calm, knowing gaze. You are going to keep appearing, and every time you do, their belief that you have intentional access to their inner world gets stronger. You are not haunting them. The truth is haunting them. You just happen to be the face the truth wears. And chosen one, that is a distinction that protects you in ways you are only beginning to understand. There was money, real money, resources with your name on them, something that was yours by right, by inheritance, by agreement. by the natural flow of what you had built or what was owed to you, something that was supposed to land in your hands and change the trajectory of your life. It never arrived, because someone intercepted it. This wasn't impulsive. This person had access they earned through proximity to you, through trust you extended, through a relationship that required you to open a door that they then walked through sideways, and the story they told themselves to make it acceptable was immaculate. They weren't stealing, they were borrowing, they weren't taking, they were investing, they were going to multiply what they took, return it quietly, and nobody would ever be the wiser. You'd benefit. They'd profit from their cleverness. Everyone wins. If you felt the truth in these words, hype this video so more chosen ones like you can see it. The plan failed. Not partially, catastrophically. Your money evaporated. The opportunity collapsed. Everything they touched with your resources turned to ash. And at the precise moment when a person with character would have stopped, confessed and begun to make things right, this person doubled down. They took more. They made worse decisions. They chased the loss the way desperate people chase losses, past the point of reason, past the point of return, past the point where any version of this story ends without serious consequences. Legal notices began arriving, official deadlines passed, ignored, court documents stacked up, warnings about criminal charges stopped feeling abstract and started feeling imminent. Prison is no longer a hypothetical for this person, it is a clock, and it is running. You become in their mind their last possible move. You are the one door not yet fully closed. You are the one person who might, if approached correctly, if the right buttons are pressed, if the right performance is delivered, provide some form of escape. They are not coming to make things right. They are not coming in a spirit of genuine repentance. They are coming because every other option already said no. But what they don't know, what they couldn't have predicted, is that the version of you waiting for them is not the version they took from. That version is gone. What replaced it is something they have no strategy for, something their entire manipulation toolkit was never designed to handle. And that dream last night, that was their first glimpse of it. That was their first real encounter with who you've become. No wonder they're shook. You've probably noticed a lot of Chosen One channels on YouTube have stopped publishing. Videos pulled, voices silenced. The mainstream media is cracking down on us, but we will not give up our voice. That's exactly why I'm putting you on to something real, Destiny Engine. I built this because I was done watching Chosen Ones get dragged through betrayal, isolation, and attacks while their enemies strutted around unchecked. I want to help you accelerate the speed of your divine justice and step fully into your purpose. And the beauty of it, you don't even have to lift a finger. Destiny Engine takes their downfall and flips it into your rise. This isn't another meditation app. It's declassified consciousness technology, the same mind programming tools your enemies once used to install fear, competition and scarcity, re-engineered to restore your sovereignty and align you with the cooperative, upgraded operating framework. It generates personalized sequences mapped to your divine purpose. The hardest thing you'll do is put on headphones, press play, and watch your enemies keep digging their own grave. Join Destiny Engine to support your favorite channels and use it for your own rise. It's a 360 win. Start your Destiny Engine for $7 today and turn everything they did to break you into fuel for your rise. Link in the description. Watch for this carefully. The contact starts soft, casual, a message that reads like someone who just happened to think of you. Light, warm, apparently innocent, but what it actually is, it's reconnaissance. It's a probe designed to read your energy and gather information before the real ask arrives. If you respond with openness, if nothing in your reply signals awareness of what they did, the first gear engages. Suddenly old memories surface. Shared history gets reconstructed in real time, offered to you like treasure. The relationship gets warm very quickly, warmer than the current reality justifies. They are not reminiscing, they are building a structure. Memory by memory, they are constructing a sense of mutual history, mutual obligation, mutual tenderness, because they need that emotional foundation in place before the ask arrives. The ask comes dressed as opportunity, never as confession. It arrives as a plan you'd both benefit from, a situation where your involvement would be helpful and natural. The thing they actually need from you, money, access, a resource, a favor, arrives wrapped in something that looks like it's for you too. What they've already taken, invisible. The debt underneath the request, buried. Love bombing activates somewhere in this sequence. Your wisdom gets praised. Your judgment gets elevated. Confidences get shared that feel like genuine intimacy. It is all a performance of vulnerability designed to lower your defenses and bypass the critical thinking that would otherwise catch what's happening beneath the surface. The moment your energy reads as knowing, the moment something in your response suggests even slight awareness of what they did, the whole approach rewrites itself instantly. Suddenly they're struggling, things have been so hard, mistakes were made, they've been under so much pressure. The pivot shifts from opportunity to sympathy, from partner to victim, probing whether your compassion might succeed where their confidence failed. Watch the body, their hands fidget, their eyes meet yours and then slide away before the moment completes. Their voice tightens on specific words, the words that carry the weight of everything they're not saying. Their sentences start and stop and get rebuilt. Their breathing goes shallow. Their body goes involuntarily still every time your gaze holds a beat longer than they expected. Their body is confirming what their mind already decided. They believe you see everything. They are performing for an audience they're certain has backstage access. And because of that belief, every tell is amplified. Every crack in the performance is wider than it would be with someone they felt safe around. You don't have to say a word. Your calm is doing more interrogation than any question ever could. Now let's go deeper. You need to understand the specific layers of fear operating inside this person right now. It's not just one fear. It's stacked a whole architecture of terror, and each floor is scarier than the one below it. The top floor is reputation. They are afraid you'll tell people what they did. They are afraid that the image they've carefully constructed, trustworthy, capable, someone people rely on, will crack open in public and expose what's rotting underneath. This is ego fear. It's real, but it's the least of their concerns once you understand what sits beneath it. The second floor is legal. They know what they did has a name in a courtroom. They know what the charge is called. They've read about the consequences when nobody was watching, and they are terrified that you, with your apparent supernatural access to their secrets, might be the piece that accelerates the legal process they've been desperately trying to slow down. But the deepest flaw, the one they barely let themselves look at, is something far more primal than either of those things. They are afraid of what your existence alone proves about their own character. Think about this carefully. You went through what they put you through. You lost what they took. You had every reason to become bitter, permanently defended against a world that demonstrated it would take from you if you turned your back. You had every excuse to harden into something cynical and small, and you didn't. You healed. You grew. You chose the harder path of staying open while becoming discerning. You built something real inside yourself, out of the very material they handed you when they thought they were destroying you. That fact alone dismantles the story they've been telling themselves about why they did what they did. They told themselves they had no choice, that circumstances forced their hand, that anyone in their situation would have done the same thing. But here you are, someone who faced genuine hardship and chose differently, someone who encountered real loss and responded with real growth. Your existence is the most inconvenient evidence in the world for someone who built an identity around the story that their circumstances made them who they are. So when they look at you, especially in a dream where the subconscious strips away every defense, they are not just seeing someone who might expose their crime. They are seeing someone who already exposes their character, simply by being who you are, simply by standing there whole and clear and completely unbothered by what they tried to take. That is a level of fear that no conversation, no confession, and no manipulation strategy can fix. And that is why your calm in their presence hits like a weapon, not because you're wielding it, but because you earned it. They think you have supernatural abilities. They think you enter dreams with intention. They think you have access to their secrets through mystical channels. You earned this. Every piece of discernment you now carry, the ability to feel deception before it finishes a sentence, the capacity to read someone's energy and know immediately whether it's clean, the quiet certainty that operates beneath conscious thought and simply knows none of that fell from the sky. Every bit of it was forged in the exact experiences that tried to break you. You were tested, you were deceived, you lost something real, and instead of letting that make you hard, closed, and permanently defended, you let it make you wise. You stayed soft enough to feel things clearly while developing the discernment to know what those feelings actually meant. That combination, emotional openness alongside acute awareness, is genuinely rare. Most people who get hurt close down. Most people who get played go one of two directions. They become naive again, or they become permanently cynical. You found the third path. You stayed open and became sharp at the same time. That is the energy that appeared in their dream, not magic, not supernatural ability. That is the refined, honed, calibrated intuition of someone who has lived exactly where that lie lives, survived it, and extracted every lesson it had to offer. When their guilty subconscious needed to cast someone in the role of all-knowing witness, it chose you immediately, because on some level, deeper than conscious thought, they have always known that you see more clearly than you let on. They've always known you register things you don't always say out loud. They've always sensed that your stillness is not the absence of perception, it's the opposite of that. That knowing didn't begin last night. The dream just made them feel it in a way they couldn't dismiss when they woke up. This is your superpower, chosen one, and it has absolutely nothing to do with dreams. At some point, in some ordinary interaction, they caught a glimpse of the new version of you. Maybe it was something you said. Maybe it was something you didn't say when they expected you to react. Maybe it was the way you looked at them, not with anger, not with accusation, but with that quiet, settled clarity that communicates something words can't quite carry. Whatever the moment was, something shifted in their chest when they felt it. They realized, in that moment, that you were not the same person they had access to before. They couldn't articulate it fully. They probably tried to dismiss it. They told themselves you were just having a good day, or you seemed more confident lately, or something external must have shifted your circumstances. But the feeling didn't leave. It stayed in the back of their mind as a low, persistent signal they couldn't tune out no matter what they did. That signal followed them home. It grew louder in the quiet moments. It wove itself into the logic of their subconscious until the subconscious finally did what it always does when it needs to process something unresolved. It built a dream around it, and in that dream the signal became a full transmission. The version of you that unsettled them in that waking moment stepped fully into view, calm, present, completely and impossibly knowing, looking directly at them with the full authority of someone who sees past the performance, past the story, past every layer of protection they'd built around what they did. That's why the dream didn't fade like a normal dream, because it wasn't random. It was the culmination of every moment they felt your energy shifting and tried to look away. You've been preparing them for this reckoning without doing a single deliberate thing. Your growth did it. Your healing did it. Your quiet, consistent, unannounced evolution did it. And now they are wide awake at hours that used to belong only to people with clear consciences, wondering what you know, what you'll do, and whether there is any version of the next chapter that doesn't include them facing exactly what they've been running from. You are standing at the exact threshold where your past ends and your next level begins. Abundance is moving toward you right now. Real, legitimate, undeniable resources are aligning with your name on them, not because of luck, not because the universe decided to play favorites, but because of the specific internal alignment you've built through everything you've been through. The harvest is active, and this person is trying to arrive before it fully manifests. Think about the geometry of this situation. You've spent real time doing real work, building internally, investing in your growth, choosing integrity when it cost you something, healing instead of hardening. All of that work creates a frequency, and that frequency is what draws abundance toward you. It is also what draws in one final test, the person who wants to attach themselves to your rising before you realize how high you're about to go. They are not coming to help you. They are coming to draft off you, to position themselves as connected to you before the elevation happens, so they can claim proximity to your success while contributing nothing but the weight of their crisis. This is the test, right here, right now. This is the universe presenting the final examination before your graduation into the next level. Will you maintain your boundary when someone is actively performing desperation directly in front of you? Will you trust your knowing when their story sounds convincing? Will you choose yourself fully, unapologetically, without needing their approval for the choice, even when your own compassion whispers that maybe this time is different? The blessings waiting on the other side of this moment require you to pass this test, not because the universe is cruel, but because abundance without the ability to protect it is just a bigger loss. Opportunity without discernment is just a more sophisticated trap. Success without boundaries is just a target with your name on it. You cannot step into everything that's waiting for you while still carrying the pattern that opened the door to this person the first time. This is the moment you prove that pattern is gone. They're talking about you, not to you, about you. They're having quiet conversations with people close to them, trying to process what they felt in that dream without revealing why it shook them so badly. They can't say I dreamed they knew what I stole. So instead they say something like this: something is different about this person. They've changed. There's something about their energy lately. It feels like they know things they shouldn't know. And the people they say this to, they file it. It lands somewhere in the back of their mind and stays there. A small flag gets planted. A detail gets noted. The beginning of a perception takes root, that you operate differently than other people do. This person does not exist in isolation from your world. There are mutual connections, people who know both of you, who interact with both of you, who will eventually be in the same room with both of you. And in those circles, a quiet mythology is already being built, not loudly, not as a formal announcement, but in the way all reputations build, through small moments, brief descriptions, a sentence here and a reaction there. The reputation being built, whether they intend it or not, is this: don't try to play this person. They see through it. That reputation is your invisible security system. It runs around the clock. It costs you nothing, and it was paid for entirely by the fear of someone who wronged you and then dreamed you knew about it. But chosen one, here is the piece you cannot miss. That reputation only holds, only keeps building, only continues spreading if your actual behavior confirms it. It holds if you stand unmoved when they approach. It holds if you stay grounded through the performance. It holds if you demonstrate, in real life, the same knowing calm they encountered in the dream. The moment you collapse under their pressure, the moment their desperation moves you, the moment you extend the hand they don't deserve, the mythology dissolves, not just for them, for everyone who is silently watching how you handle this moment. This is bigger than one interaction. Your response to this approach becomes the living evidence that either confirms or dismantles the version of you that is already circulating in their world. Stay in character, chosen one. Your character is the most powerful thing you own. They're in front of you. Maybe it's a message, maybe it's a call, maybe it's in person. And if it's in person, everything is happening at once. The warmth that's slightly too warm, the eye contact that's slightly too careful, the openness that's slightly too performed. And underneath all of it, running like a current beneath still water, there is the terror that you already know everything they're about to pretend they're not there to discuss. They begin the approach you already saw coming, the casual warmth, the old memories, the careful construction of closeness designed to make your refusal feel like cruelty, and then the pivot, the thing they actually came for, arriving dressed in the language of mutual benefit, of opportunity, of two people with shared history simply helping each other out. Your compassion speaks first. It always does, because your heart is genuinely good. It says, this person is suffering, you have something that could help. What kind of person turns away from suffering, and then something deeper speaks? Something that doesn't come from emotion, or logic, or the need to be seen as good. Something that comes from the part of you that has been watching this entire situation with perfect clarity, and has known, since before they even made contact, exactly what this is. That deeper voice says, this is the same hand that took from you before, dressed in different clothing, carrying a different story, but the same hand. The choice you make in this moment, the choice to listen to the deeper voice, to honor what you know, to refuse the performance without drama or explanation or the need to prove you're not a bad person for doing it. That choice is the single most powerful act you will take in this entire chapter of your life, not because of what it prevents, because of what it declares. When you say no calmly, clearly, without rage and without apology, you are not just declining a request. You are announcing to every force in the universe that you know your own worth, that your discernment is real, active, and non-negotiable, that you are no longer available to be the escape hatch for people whose crises are the direct result of taking from you. That announcement changes everything that comes after it. Watch what happens when the no lands. Their belief in your abilities doesn't weaken, it intensifies, because in their mind, the only explanation for your calm refusal, for the complete absence of confusion, uncertainty, or the usual emotional negotiation, is that you already know. You know exactly what they did. You know exactly why they came, and you are declining, not out of cruelty, but out of the complete certainty of someone who operates with information they cannot access. They leave convinced you are watching them. They leave convinced that your dream-entering abilities are not theory, but confirmed fact. They leave convinced that you saw their secrets and made your decision accordingly, and that conviction becomes something extraordinary. It becomes a wall around you that requires zero maintenance, because their fear generates it and regenerates it automatically, continuously, without your participation. Every dream you appear in from this point forward deepens the belief. Every consequence they face, and the consequences are coming, the clock is running, gets experienced through the lens of someone who believes you arranged it, who believes your knowing is active and your response is already in motion. Let them believe it. Let that mythology exist, spread, and do the protective work that an exhausted person should never have to do manually. Retaliation becomes too risky in their mind because they're certain you'd know before it started. Lies about you carry too much danger because they're convinced you can expose the truth. Every move they might consider gets vetoed by their own internal certainty that you are 3 steps ahead. You built this protection not with aggression but with evolution, not with dominance but with wholeness, and it is permanent in a way that any external defense never could be, because it lives in them, in their guilt, their fear, their absolute conviction in your power. Neither you nor they can remove it. It belongs to the space between what they did and what they know you've become. Before the approach you appeared in their dreams as a presence, calm, knowing, standing in the dreamscape with that quiet authority that communicated everything without speaking. After the refusal, the dreams escalate. Now you're not just standing there. Now you're watching. Now you're moving through their dream with a deliberate energy that their subconscious reads as purposeful, like you came back with a specific intention. The guilt that built the original dream has now been confirmed in their mind by your waking behavior. Your refusal told them everything they feared was true, and so the subconscious turns up the intensity. The dreams get more vivid. The feeling upon waking gets heavier. The images their sleeping mind generates become harder to shake off in the daylight hours. They'll start reading meaning into ordinary moments. You post something, they analyze it for hidden signals. You don't respond to something, that silence feels loaded with meaning. A mutual connection mentions your name in passing. It registers like a coded message, because they have now decided, fully and completely, that you are operating with information they cannot see, and intentions they cannot predict. Every dream reinforces this. Every waking trigger confirms it. And here is the extraordinary part. You are doing absolutely nothing to make any of this happen. You are simply living your life, growing, building, moving into your next chapter with the clarity of someone who passed the test and is now collecting the reward. You are present in their dreams, not because you entered them, but because they cannot stop thinking about what you know, what you might do, and what it means that you looked at their most desperate performance and chose peace over rescue. The dream entering mythology wasn't born in the first dream. It was sealed by your refusal. That refusal became the proof they needed, because in their mind, only someone operating with complete knowledge would be that calm. Only someone who already knew the full truth would feel that unbothered. Only someone who had already seen everything would receive their most desperate performance with that particular quality of undisturbed quiet. You didn't just enter their dream once, chosen one. You moved in permanently, while you are at peace, while your abundance continues arriving, while the next chapter of your life opens with the kind of clarity that only comes after a final test is passed. This person is meeting their consequences. Not because you arranged it, not because you made calls or filed reports or delivered any form of deliberate payback, but because cosmic law is not interested in the stories people tell themselves to sleep at night. Cosmic law is interested in what was actually done, and what was actually done is documented, traceable, and already in the hands of processes that don't require your involvement to conclude. The charges are real. Everything built on the foundation of what was taken from you is collapsing under the weight of its own dishonesty. The deadlines that were ignored are now immovable. The consequences that always existed at the end of this road are arriving right on time. This is divine justice, and it doesn't look like lightning bolts. It looks like a clock that was always ticking, finally reaching zero. It looks like a system designed precisely for this situation, doing exactly what it was built to do. It looks like someone finally, unavoidably, having to stand in front of the results of their own choices with no exit remaining. You don't need to watch it. You don't need to be present for it. You don't need the front row seat, or the confession, or the public acknowledgement of what was done to you. You have something better than a front row seat at their collapse. You have a life that's finally, fully, completely yours, and it is opening. You are someone who got hit, genuinely hit, not metaphorically, and used the impact to accelerate. You were taken from, and you responded by building something that cannot be taken. You were underestimated by exactly the right person, at exactly the right time, which meant the underestimation didn't slow you down. It created the pressure that accelerated your transformation. The power you carry right now is not the power of someone who won because their opponent was weak. It is the power of someone who won because they did the work, because they chose growth when collapse was available, because they refined themselves through genuine struggle into something precise and grounded and completely their own. Real power is not loud. Real power doesn't announce itself. Real power is so settled in itself that it doesn't need the room to know it's there, but the room always knows. Real power is not the ability to dominate others. It is the inability to be dominated. It is the unshakable, internally generated certainty that comes from knowing who you are, all the way down to the foundation. That certainty is what they felt in the dream. That's what woke them up. Not because you threatened them, but because your certainty made their uncertainty unbearable, because your peace made their chaos visible. Because your wholeness, your complete, earned, unperformable wholeness, is the exact mirror that someone carrying their level of guilt cannot look into without flinching. You don't need them to be afraid of you. You don't need to manage their perception, or maintain the mythology, or do anything at all to sustain the protection their fear provides. Just stay whole, stay clear, stay exactly who you've become. The protection generates itself. The abundance arrives continuously. The people who deserve access to you find you. The people who don't, they feel the frequency and they know better than to try. This is what chosen one energy actually is. Not chosen for suffering, not chosen for struggle. You are chosen because you were built to carry a level of truth that most people spend their entire lives running from. You are chosen because when everything in your life tried to make you small, you chose expansion instead. You are chosen because your evolution creates a wake, and in that wake, people who've been lost in their own lies find themselves unable to maintain the fiction anymore. You don't do that to them deliberately. You simply exist fully as yourself, and that is enough. You didn't enter their dream, your truth did. And your truth, it's awake now, fully awake. Eyes open, standing in the full authority of everything it has survived and everything it has become. The person racing toward you in desperation sees someone with supernatural powers. You know what you actually are. You are someone who chose to become undeniable, and chosen one that is the most powerful thing a human being can ever be. The harvest is open. The elevation is in motion. The abundance already has your name on it. Now walk into it. Eyes forward, head up, like you always knew it was coming, because you did.